Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I wanted to talk to you about the advanced movement mechanics that you're going to get to be seeing in Advanced Warfare. The gameplay here is just part of the single-player trailer where you do see some movement mechanics, jumping over buses and buildings and that sort of stuff. It's the most relevant thing I could talk about, but I did get to see some multiplayer. At least I'm pretty sure I got to see some multiplayer. I went to a private event with the studio heads, Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey. It was kind of a press event, and they showed a lot of things, not at E3, and there was a presentation. And I'm allowed to talk about this event, but not upload any of the gameplay or footage from it. And they talked a lot about movement mechanics and player movement and all this sort of stuff, and I'm pretty sure they snuck some multiplayer footage in there, and instead of watching campaign, I was actually watching multiplayer in disguise as a campaign level. I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute, but for now let's talk about the new movement mechanics. You have a slide feature just like Call of Duty Ghost. That's, I guess, not really a new mechanic, but it's a new game. The people weren't if they were dolphin diving or sliding. There's a slide a lot like Ghost. I'm going to say you slide a little bit further than Ghost, maybe like a Destiny slide or a Killzone slide, but that's a basic movement mechanic these days. That's nothing super new. There was a boost jump in what I'm pretty sure is multiplayer. Not a double jump, not a Titanfall double jump, but just your regular jump was fairly tall, like well beyond a Call of Duty jump. You could jump up and get on top of maybe a one-story building if it wasn't a super huge one-story building. And there was a dashing mechanic as well. And the dashing mechanic was probably the most interesting one because it allowed you to slide in any direction except I don't think you could boost forward, but then again maybe they were just showing the sliding forward. At any time you wanted to, you could just dash left or dash right or kind of dash back, kind of like the Titans in Titanfall, like the Strider, how you have the I'm going to compare it more to the Ogre, how you have the one dash and you can just slide in whatever direction to kind of avoid death if you need to. But it wasn't a multi-dash, it wasn't an always dash, it wasn't a dashing sliding everywhere. It was like a once every 3 or 4 he just did it. I think he just did it right here in the thing. I think he just okay, anyway, I'm watching the gameplay here. It's just once every 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, kind of like your sprint timer. You can't just zip, zip, zip all over the map, but if you really need it, you can slide out of the way once. And I know you can do it midair too, because I saw him run and do this kind of parkour route, and he slid underneath something and then jumped on a building, and he was going to jump to another building, but then midair changed his mind because there was like a bad guy over there, so he just dashed to the left and landed on a dumpster or something. But the reason I think this was multiplayer gameplay is because to explain the movement mechanics, they loaded up a map that did not look like a single-player map. Single-player maps are linear, they're straightforward, you've seen them a lot, they're like this one, they lead you down a path. This one was kind of square, very open-ended, lots of places to go. But what really tipped me off was that you had this AI partner in front of you, and he was like kind of showing you the ropes, sort of, except it wasn't scripted. I was watching this guy would just run and like jump to a building, and then your character would just run and jump to the same building, but it wasn't like exactly the same. It was kind of like if you had a buddy showing you the ropes in multiplayer, like, hey, do as I do, and their dashes and jumps weren't one-to-one, and I noticed that the enemies that they were fighting weren't like standard campaign baddies. They had a more, I've played a lot of COD. They have that multiplayer, somewhat more rigid animation, and when you killed them, they ragdolled, and it just kind of had this very distinct feel to it that I was in a multiplayer map, and we had devs just kind of wandering around pretending to be AI baddies while they did this. And for that reason, I believe that these mechanics will be in multiplayer. I specifically asked this question, was that a multiplayer map? Are these mechanics in multiplayer? And all the answers I got is, we can't talk about that, we're not ready to reveal multiplayer, can't talk about that, can't talk about that, no, all this sort of stuff. It was not a direct denial, but not denying is not the same thing as confirming. So this is my own hunch, this is my own superstition, my own belief, perception, whatever, but I really do believe we're going to get to see some of these advanced mechanics in multiplayer. I don't know if they're perks, I don't know if you have to earn them, if they're always on or what, but I did see them, and I'm pretty confident that they're in multiplayer to some extent. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.